What's up, guys? Today I want to talk about Nike Dunks, and in particular I want to show you the transition of a Nike Dunk from a basketball shoe into a skateboarding shoe. The ShoeZeum has more than 500 pairs of Dunks, and no sneakerhead's collection would be complete without an assortment of these amazing shoes. So originally Nike Dunks came out in 1985, and they were basketball shoes. Here is a retro pair, came out in '08. They're made to look vintage, but this is what vintage Nike Dunks used to look like. So let me put this on display over here in the corner. By the way, I bought this pair of shoes at the Nike employee store in Beaverton, Oregon. If you look at the box closely, you'll see an ES right here. You'll also see an ES right there. If you ever come across a pair of kicks that say ES on them, that's where they came from. They like to stamp the shoes with ES so that people can't resell them. Anyway, here's a vintage retro pair of basketball Dunks. Originally, the Dunk was made for NCAA basketball teams. And so the shoes came in a variety of different colors to match the different teams' uniforms. You'll see right here a pair of University of Kentucky Quick Strikes. These are B grades. I picked them up at a Nike outlet. And I was so excited to score this pair of shoes because they're super duper rare. Anyway, I told you before that Dunks matched college uniforms, so here's a pair of them in red, and this pair was made for St. John's. They're made to look vintage as well. These were also picked up at a Nike factory store. They're also B grades, cosmetic seconds. You'll see that stamp on the box right there. I feel like I'm playing Nike Jenga, but I'm sort of an expert with these shoes, so I think I'll be able to keep stacking them and they won't fall. Anyway, this is what the vintage basketball Dunks used to look like. I'm going to whip out another pair of kicks from '08. These are Nike Sportswear Dunks. They're white on white, low tops. I wanted to break these out to compare a low top to a high top, and also to talk about Nike Sportswear. So this is a Nike Sportswear box. Lately they've been using orange boxes that sort of look like the old school boxes. Nike Sportswear are shoes inspired by sport and made for everyday life. So these Dunks would have been inspired by basketball shoes, but they're made just for everyday wear. So we'll continue our little game of Dunk Jenga. A pair of sportswear lifestyle Dunks and then some vintage retro basketball Dunks. Let's keep on going. So this pair I absolutely love, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about building the ShoeZeum. These are called Nike Dunk Low Pros. They're in the amazing Team Red colorway. Sometimes people call these grip tapes. And let me tell you a little bit about the evolution of the Dunk. So originally it was a basketball shoe, but people started wearing them for skateboarding. And Nike became keen to that, and they started putting extra padding around the ankles, also fatter tongues. The tongues were connected to the sole of the shoe. Basically, these shoes were made to withstand skateboarding better than the basketball Dunks that people were using for skateboarding. Now, the reason why I love this pair of shoes is because Nike themselves consider it a pivotal shoe in the evolution of the Dunk. There's an amazing webpage. Go to www.nike.com/Nike Dunk. And what you'll see is Nike's rendition of all of the Dunks that evolved from the basketball Dunk to the present day skateboarding Dunks. And they chose this as an example of the Dunk Low Pro and the Dunk Low Pro B. So let me tell you a little bit about building the ShoeZeum. I would look at websites like this or go to different sneaker shops all over the world, and I would be inspired by all of this information. And I wanted to put it all together and build the world's greatest sneaker collection that wasn't just about the evolution of the Dunk, but was about the complete evolution of the brand of Nike. So for building the Dunk exhibit, I would have looked at a web page like that, and that's why I needed to have this pair. But let me tell you a little bit about my OCD. It wasn't enough for me to just have this pair of Team Reds. I also needed to have other pairs of Team Reds from the same era. Now, I absolutely love these shoes. They're called Splatters. And you can tell that they're called Splatter because of the splatter painted upper. My mom is an artist, and she always encouraged me as a kid to paint, but I was never a very good painter, so I would just splatter paint. So when they came out with these shoes, they were something that I absolutely had to have for the collection, and also a pair for myself to rock. So I'm going to set these up right here on top of the Team Reds right below. And we'll continue our game of Jenga. So continuing with this theme of Team Red, it wasn't enough for me to have the Team Red grip tapes or the splatters, but I also had to have this colorway of Team Reds. They're white and Team Red, another pair of Dunk Low Pros, but part of building the collection was getting all of the different colorways, putting them together in a way that was hypnotizing. And so as I built the collection, not only was it organized by shoe style, but also by color, so that as you walked down the aisles and saw these amazing shoes, they flowed naturally from one to the other. And then the final one of these Team Reds, this is really starting to get crazy over here, are the unsplatters. So this shoe is supposed to be sort of the opposite of the splatter, just without the splatter paint. And as I built this collection, whoa, did you see that? Straighten that out right there. As I built this collection, I thought to myself, true sneakerheads are going to come and visit this place, and if I came to visit this place, I'd have my arms crossed like this, and I'd say, oh yeah, you got the splatters, where are the unsplatters? Oh yeah, you got those, where are the Team Reds? I wanted to have everything. And so that's why you'll see right here, this collection of Team Red Dunk Low Pros is going to be complete. Now, I want to continue on. I want to talk about two other of my favorite shoes from this same era. It's really getting crazy over here. These are the 3M Dunk Low Pros. We'll put this right here. I'm a real sucker for 3M. I love it on the Air Max 97. I love it on these Dunks. So here's a pair of Dunk Low Pros. This is really getting crazy. And boom, got it to stand perfectly. Now, in order to complete the set of 3M Dunks from this same era, you know I would have had to have the high top as well. So let's see if we can try to fit the high top in over here. It's a little combination of Jenga, Tetris, OCD, and my love of Nikes. And there we go. Boom. Now for these last two shoes, I'm going to come around here, and we'll continue this evolution, starting with vintage basketball to sportswear to all these different Dunk Low Pros, and then the first ever Nike skateboarding shoe. The Danny Supa came out in 2002. It's inspired by the New York Mets. They're amazing. You can see how much cushion is on these shoes, all this padding. All of these shoes built up to this Danny Supa Dunk SB that came out in 2002. We'll pull out the other pair. Pristine example of the first ever skateboarding shoe. When Nike creates something that's very popular like this, they'll oftentimes create the opposite of this. So these Supas were the first ever SB, and the second generation SBs came out in this silver box. Here they are. They're known as the reverse Supas, also the Denver Broncos Dunks. So of course, if I'm going to have the Supas, I got to have the reverse Supas. And you know the craziest exhibit in the ShoeZeum featured my 1973 Bronco with the Bronco Dunks on top of it. The ShoeZeum was a combination of my love of shoes and everything that I own that's near and dear to me, so of course my Bronco had to be in it. I hope you've enjoyed this video, which takes us from vintage basketball to sportswear Dunks to Dunk Low Pros to the first ever SBs. Thank you very much.